Okay. Today we're going to be speaking about Dark Moon Lilith. I found this quote that said by Laurel Thatcher. It says, well-behaved women seldom make history. And it made me think about when I was researching Lilith or Black Moon Lilith, it made me think about her. Hold on.
Mm, that's the truth, though.
Lilith mythology and history. The earliest mention of Lilith or Lilith in Hebrew is in Gilgamesh and the Hulupu tree, which is a poem found on the tablet at Ur, which dates back to 2000 BC. The name Lilith derives from a Sumerian word for female demon or wind spirits, the Itu. The first Jewish story of Lilith was told in the alphabet of Ben Sirah. Before then, Lilith was seen as a demoness instead of the first Eve. According to the first Eve story, Lilith was created by God from dust with Adam and placed in the Garden of Eden with him. Problems arose when Adam tried to assert his dominance over Lilith. One story states that Lilith refused to lay beneath Adam during sex, that she believed that they were created equal, which is why she felt she shouldn't have to lay beneath him. After Adam disagrees, Lilith flees the garden to gain her independence. It is also said that this is where she met Samael, the angel of death, and began to give birth to hundreds of demon babies per day. The etymology of the word demon is the provider of destiny. Adam told God that Lilith had left, and God sent 3 angels to retrieve her. They found her giving birth to children, but Lilith refused to come back to the garden. The angels told her that they would kill 100 of her children daily for her disobedience. This is where she became feared as someone who would steal your children as hers were murdered. The word lullaby evolved from Hebrew Lilith goodbye as a way of warding her off. Lilith became a figure of cosmic evil in medieval Kabbalah in the 13th century. Treatise of the left emanation, she became the female consort of Samael. In the Zohar, Lilith's demonic sexuality is brought to the forefront. It states that she attempts to seduce men and use their seed to create bodies for her demonic children. Eve represents the patriarchal acceptable version of womanhood, while Lilith represents the primal instinctual feminine that puts her needs first and seeks approval from no one. Lilith the feminist. The traditional depiction of Lilith from ancient Mesopotamia through medieval Kabbalah presents an antitype of desired human sexuality and family life. Lilith not only embodies people's fears of what they are attracted to sexually, but also how risky childbearing and raising children are. She also represents a woman whom society can't control, a woman who determines her own sexual partners, who is wild and unkempt in the eye of society. Lilith and astrology. In mythology, Lilith represents rebellion, independence, and woman's power. She's been described as a night demon, but she's also influenced fear and awe around darkness and feminine mysteries, just like the high priestess in tarot. In astrology, Black Moon Lilith is the furthest point of the moon from the earth at any given point. Lilith manifests through the extremes. It is usually a delicate and complex point in the natal chart. In astrology, Black Moon Lilith is associated with rebellion, the fight for independence, revenge, pain, trauma, betrayal, evil wishes, karmic challenges. The positive side of Lilith is finding your own power, standing up for yourself, and saying no. Authentic living and sex. Black Moon Lilith represents our darkest desires, instinctual drives, emotional triggers, and our shadow. Your inner teen and shadow and Lilith. Because Lilith isn't a celestial body, Black Moon Lilith is best expressed through its lack of physicality. It is a void, an absence, and missing piece. Lilith represents our deepest repressed desires that yearn to be expressed, which can tie into the healing and integration of our inner teen. Our teens are when we start to step into creating who we want to be in this world, and it's also the time where we are oppressed and programmed the most. With Lilith being a void, it's where our inner teen has been stripped of its authentic self. The shadow aspect of Lilith is healing what is seen as an imperfection. Lilith calls us to transmute these things and turn it into their highest potential and form what is achievable instead of falling to the lowest instincts, the unevolved aspects of ourselves, which causes pain. Lilith in Aries. Lilith in Aries has felt that asserting themselves and making executive self-centered decisions is selfish and otherwise wrong. They may have felt shame for displaying self-centered traits, for taking the lead without asking, or making self-centered choices. They may feel wary of people expressing Aries traits, largely because they are shocked at how they can do so without apology. There can be some fear of taking the lead, asserting oneself, and making executive decisions, but a simultaneous desire to do so, which can lead to extremes of behavior in these areas. Learning to accept these traits in themselves is the key. This can also apply to Lilith in the first house. Lilith is Aries' call for you to have a daring, assertive nature who makes up the rules as you go. They're incredibly confident in themselves and find it easy to channel their energy into action. Nothing and nobody can stand in their way. They have a commanding presence, and others can easily recognize their raw talent. Healing your Lilith in Aries is about embracing all of your flaws, imperfections, and shortcomings as part of your whole self and learning to love what makes you special. Healing your inner teen. Ask yourself, when were you deemed too aggressive or assertive when you were younger? Where in your adult life do you not assert or stand up for yourself in fear of being seen as the aggressor? Lilith in the first house. Hiding your deepest fear, your deepest desires is extremely hard for Lilith in the first house placements. Even if the individual is ashamed and tries to hide it, it just comes pouring out. These individuals may feel dissatisfaction based off of what sign Lilith is in. Some individuals with Lilith in the first house may struggle with fully identifying themselves. It can also cause body image issues, body dysmorphia, feeling ashamed of themselves, of their personality, and of their looks. These individuals should always examine their steps and actions they prepare to take. They should also dig deeper and find what motivates them rather than trying to push themselves into something so they can get rid of the feelings of shame or to get a hit. Lilith and Taurus. Indulgence is the name of the game when it comes to Lilith and Taurus. To these placements, life is beautiful and they are going to spend as much time as they can enjoying it. Lilith and Taurus embodies all things sensual and materialistic. Lilith and Taurus has felt shame for self-indulgence, not sharing, holding on to possessions too tightly, and for enjoying themselves without apology. They feel guilty or wrong for doing these things. They can lead to all sorts of behaviors, whether it's about hoarding, purging, or in between these extremes, but feeling ashamed for indulging oneself or getting comfortable. They may have a hard time feeling truly satisfied or sated, but can also fear the state of wanting. Perhaps they were punished in some manner for being slow, savoring things, or enjoying and indulging themselves. This can also apply to Lilith in the second house. Once they've set their mind on something they desire, it is only a matter of time before it is acquired. They love spoiling themselves. Healing your Lilith and Taurus is about allowing yourself to be taken care of by someone else and allowing your defenses to come down. To also realize where you might be overindulging. Lilith and Taurus placements may deal with hyper independent or being hyper independent. Healing your inner teen. When was the first time you felt like you couldn't trust anyone to take care of you? When was the first time you felt your needs weren't met by a parental figure or guardian? Lilith in the second house. Money, possession, survival, and or image are the darker impulses of Lilith in the second house. Even to the point of being obsessive. Avoiding to deal with fear, with the obsession, they try harder to achieve these things. They might have experienced rejection, which deeply hurt them, and their mind works is that in order to get over it or beat it is to achieve everything materially and just show those people how wrong they were about them. These individuals also fear failure, losing everything and being left with nothing, having no name, no legacy, no stable foundation. If they truly accept themselves, they wouldn't let themselves be controlled and led by fear. Their path to healing is through self-acceptance, self-love, and inner child work. Keeping themselves in check and not feeding the obsessive streaks allows them to celebrate their achievements in an authentic way. Any questions, comments so far?
No.
Lilith and Gemini. Lilith and Gemini has felt shame for speaking too much or too little, or for their intelligence or social skills. They may be wary of people who seem to be indulgent in these ways, who are social butterflies, who talk too much, or who seem to flaunt their intelligence. Their curiosity may have been stifled in some manner, and they may and they can fear not being considered smart. They can be wicked with what they say when angry. Shame in these areas can lead to extremes of behaviors and a feeling of being out of control. Working on self acceptance is key to empowerment. This can also apply to Lilith in the third house. Lilith in Gemini can be one of the brightest and bubbliest placements a person can have. It represents someone who constantly seeks out emotional and mental stimulation. They have a curious mind and open heart, feeling their desires to connect and meet new people. There is something about their communication style that can just entice the masses. They find it easy to shift their energy to fit the mood of any situation. However, this superficial type of communication is designed to keep people at arm's length, and it can be hard to get deep with sometimes. Healing Lilith and Gemini is finding your voice and embracing your true personality. Healing your inner teen. Has anyone ever made you feel like you couldn't speak and or share your knowledge? Was your truth constantly denied or overlooked? Lilith in the third house. Before they got wounded and hurt, these individuals were open to the world. The wound is probably connected to communication and the truth. Maybe it has to do with writing, anxiety, overthinking, expressing oneself, social anxiety, public speaking, maybe even a learning disability or a different way of learning. These placements either stay silent during confrontation or they create a persona based on what others like to see, hear, and want. In some form or shape, their communication is inauthentic. They also censor themselves because they carry the fear of being judged and misunderstood, and they are afraid that they will be punished for it. Lilith in the third house can heal through a start of communication with their environment in a natural, authentic way, and dropping the persona so they can show who they really are. Through their healing, they might learn that truths can be different and real, and to allow their words to come naturally. Interacting with nature can also be healing. Lilith in Cancer. Lilith in Cancer has felt ashamed for being needy or dependent for whatever reason and feels awkward or even angry with people who display these traits without apology. Their nurturing nature was stifled in some way, and they can feel very uncomfortable asking for help and expressing their own nurturing nature as a result. This discomfort can lead to extremes of behavior in this area and then misgiving afterwards. The cycle then continues. Working on self acceptance is a key to empowerment. This can also apply to Lilith in the fourth house. Lilith in Cancer symbolizes intense emotional sensitivity, depth, and psychic abilities. They are very aware of the energy around them and are able to pick up on other people's emotions and secret feelings without even trying. This makes for a very empathetic person who creates a habit of giving more in a relationship than they get. Lilith and Cancer can get caught up in pouring emotional energy into all the wrong places in life in order to avoid confrontation. Healing Lilith and Cancer is demanding your worth and hold your boundaries firm without resorting to passive aggressive communication tactics. Inner teen healing. When was a time your emotions were overlooked? Ask yourself, am I willing to express my feelings to the fullest extent, or do I keep them pressed down? How has my childhood shaped the way I view life and my parents? Lilith in the fourth house. Lilith in the fourth house can be found in early childhood family home memories and your relationships with your parents. The side of Lilith carried within the fourth house might have been hard to handle by the parents, or the parents didn't know how to handle these deepest desires and urges that Lilith causes with these placements. This may have caused these individuals to either suppress Lilith because they thought it was wrong to express it, accompanied by guilt and shame, or they were rejected in some way. A lot of the time, Lilith deals with shame within us, created by all these urges and desires. It can be shame caused and felt by themselves, feeling self-disgust, even as children. Even as they get older, it doesn't feel any less shameful. They need to heal their inner child. The shame experience can be connected with the sign Lilith is in. Inner child work is necessary to heal, as is forgiving themselves and finding self-love. Lilith in the fourth house might be one of the slowest ones to go through the path of healing and patching up these wounds. Lilith in Leo. Lilith in Leo has felt ashamed or otherwise wrong for calling special attention to themselves, for seeking the spotlight, or for seeking to be better than others in competitions. They may feel uncomfortable with people expressing these Leonian traits, the shame or discomfort can lead to extremes of behavior in these areas, which can exasperate the problem. They need to find ways to accept their very natural need for applause. Self acceptance is the key to moderation and empowerment. This can also apply to Lilith in the fifth house. Lilith in Leo represents a personality that is dripping magnetism and dramatic flair. They are fiery force to be reckoned with who won't be ignored. The power of their aura comes directly from the sun, which gives them a natural sense of confidence. It can be easy for Leo Liliths to get caught up in their ego or refuse to share the love out of the fear of being overpowered. In the past, they could have had lovers and or friends that have acted out of jealousy or made them feel small. Healing Lilith and Leo calls for them to create a self-love that is so deep instead of being shallow and accepting that the right relationships will encourage both them and their partners to shine. Healing the inner teen. When was a time you had to dim your light because someone told you to? Are you afraid of being in the spotlight? Has someone ever told you that you were too much? How did that make you feel? Lilith in the fifth house. Lilith in the fifth house were probably shamed about something that happened to their childhood by childhood peers or friends. They might have played with themes surrounding Lilith, which were probably prohibited and or taboo by society, especially the other children and their parents. They might have been deemed inappropriate. Lilith in the fifth house individuals are probably really cool, expressive, and futuristic, but they are more often ahead of their time and are judged because of it and rejected by society. This rejection causes the wounds inflicted in shame that could play out in two different ways. They could either lean more on the obsessive side and display Lilith even more to others. The rejection makes them want to express and flaunt it more, but they don't accept it within themselves. All the attention is on Lilith here, but it doesn't help with healing. The other way would be suppressing everything and pretending to be normal, which can mean living a double life or pretending these qualities or pretending these qualities do not even exist. But as time passes, the pressure can become too much and everything can come pouring out. The healing path isn't repressing or flaunting. Instead, it is to go inward and leave all of these people on the outside outside. Lilith and Virgo. Lilith and Virgo has felt ashamed, off, or wrong about paying special attention to the practical side of life, attention to detail, organization, and routines. They may go to pains to prove they're not ordinary, worried, eager to please, or concerned about details enough to perfect a craft or project. Leaving many projects unfinished can be a sign of perfectionist expectations. This way, they don't have to deal with the prospect of not producing something perfect. Extremes of behavior and binge and purging in these areas can be a sign of imbalance. Working on self acceptance is the key to empowerment. This can also apply to Lilith in the sixth house. Lilith in Virgo reflects a strong need for control, order, discipline, and perfection. You make being on top of your game seem so effortless and easy. In reality, it comes with a lot of hard work and sacrifice. Unlike some Lilith signs that have trouble asserting authority, Lilith and Virgo can be overly domineering and critical of people around them. This doesn't come from a place of superiority, but rather from a fear of not being accepted. Healing Lilith and Virgo, learn that love is imperfect and to not nitpick about yourself and to allow yourself to enjoy life. Learn that perfection isn't real and to stop your need to control everything. Healing the inner teen, who told you that you had to be perfect to be loved? Lilith in the sixth house. In the sixth house, here we are dealing with mentors, as in teachers, parents, bosses, or any other authority figure which is in position of mentorship. With Lilith in the sixth house, the way these individuals accomplish their goals and their tasks might not line up with the ways of their mentors, authority figures, society who consider what's right or wrong. These individuals have different ways about going on things and are probably scolded because of it. This can be expressed anywhere in their lives during school, professional life, participating in hobbies. The lesson with this Lilith placement is to follow their individual way of doing things, even if others do not appreciate it. But this might develop differently for different Lilith and six individuals. Some might turn to a way of slavery slash servitude in order to survive in childhood or a past life. They get troubled with what it is they should do and the real trouble is them finding their own voice when it comes to the mundane things, life things. They definitely struggle with what others think and what they want them to do instead of following the beat of their own drum. The healing path here is to embrace Lilith and focus on the feelings inside on the right that you think, feel, and have a way to do. Lilith is an outcast for whatever reason anyway, especially for following her heart, which is something that you need to do. The universe will definitely send them small struggles, which turns into lessons each day to help them build up in order to follow up with their future work with following their heart and their gut instincts rather than the voice of society/authorities. Lilith in Libra. Lilith in Libra has felt ashamed or wrong for needing companionship or seeking approval from others. Or they may otherwise feel that dependency and compromise are weak and not right, and can feel uncomfortable with people who seem to need these things. In the absence of self acceptance regarding these very real needs, extremes of behavior in these areas can be the result. And this perpetuates the cycle and the problem. Working on self acceptance is a key to empowerment. This can also apply to the Lilith in the seventh house. Lilith in Libra craves harmony and balance in life, yet you can't help but indulge in their vices. Venus rules over the energy of Libra, which explains their strong and raw feminine energy. They're a very seductive soul who easily attracts new opportunities and relationships. However, they can have a compulsion to obsess over what people think and compare themselves to others, which can cause them to be vain and selfish sometimes. Love isn't a game that they can play and win, but it doesn't mean that they don't try. Healing Lilith in Libra. Learn more selfless love and allow yourself to put your needs first. Libras are natural people pleasers, so they tend to put themselves on the back burner and let their wants and needs be neglected. Finding balance and knowing their self worth will be pivotal in healing. Healing the inner teen. When was the first time you were taught, consciously or subconsciously, that your needs didn't matter? When did you become a people pleaser, and has it affected your self image and how you love yourself? Lilith in the seventh house. These individuals, more than any other Lilith placers, might have trouble seeing Lilith within them. They might be the ones to look a partner that has Lilith qualities, but like a partner because they have Lilith qualities, because they have trouble recognizing and acknowledging Lilith in seventh within themselves. They might sense these qualities, but most are suppressed. There's a part of them that they do not want to embrace and own up, which causes them not use these parts to its fullest potential. They're inclined to end up with a partner which has qualities of the Lilith sign. The relationship itself might be forbidden in a way, taboo, on or off, or obsessive. But it is important not to avoid these types of relationships. Owning up their Lilith qualities can really be helped through these types of relationships. They awaken the deepest parts of them that they masterfully suppressed. They attract these partners because they are the ones that can teach them how to express it. They just need practice to do so. It will be difficult at times and painful, but it will be worth it. Lilith and Scorpio. Lilith in Scorpio has a very magnetic aura energy. They're very comfortable in their own skin and aren't afraid to use their charm and allure to get what they want. People recognize their authority and power and make desire to be close, and many desire to be close to them so they can have a taste of it for themselves. Lilith in Scorpio has felt ashamed for the natural need for intimacy, attachment, and depth contact. They may feel wrong if they are expressing jealousy or possessiveness, attachment, etc., and can feel uncomfortable around those who are especially passionate and attached. Lack of self acceptance in these areas can lead to extreme behaviors that exasperate the problem. Empowering themselves involves working on accepting these qualities. This can also apply to Lilith in the eighth house. Healing the inner teen. When did you feel like you couldn't be yourself around others? Why did the approval/acceptance of others make you hide your authentic self away? Lilith in the eighth house. These individuals have probably experienced pain or trauma early on in life, or maybe a past life. A very intense placement, the trauma and/slash pain caused early on or in a past life creates fear. They might feel like they are always running from fear. The fear can create this sort of control issues, them wanting to control others, their surroundings, or just themselves. They might push themselves to believe that this control will stop their fear somehow or banish it from existence, but they are wrong. Dealing and healing will only help. As we know, the eighth house is all about going through hell and then rising from the ashes stronger than ever. Lilith in the eighth has the transformative power, so the changes are big that these individuals will transform, self destruct, and rise again, trusting again in the universe and themselves and something they will need to regain, reprogram themselves, and such. They should figure out what that pain/trauma caused them, what they felt, sit it out, feel it again, learn from it. See the timeline, how the universe helped, and what did they learn from it. The intensity of the eighth house here can be channeled into power and passion, especially in relationships if they heal. Lilith and Sagittarius. Lilith and Sagittarius have felt ashamed for their curiosity, questions, relentlessness, the need to challenge and question life, facts, beliefs, or the need to get away, expand, and seek meaning. They may feel uncomfortable around people who are expressing these Sagittarius traits, not trust, not not quite trusting them. However, when feeling stressed, they can go to extremes in these areas. Working on self-acceptance is key to empowerment. This can also apply to Lilith in the ninth house. Healing Lilith in Sagittarius. These placements need to focus on rediscovering their natural inquisitive nature and learn that seeking meaning first means seeking oneself. Healing the inner teen. When were you told that you could when were you told that you asked too many questions? How did it feel when you were told that children that you should be seen and not heard? Lilith in the ninth house. With Lilith in the ninth house, these individuals' thought process is different. The way their thinking is wired is different. Topics like religion, philosophy, cultures, language, education, sexuality, etc. But they lack good expression, and therefore it can result in them being misfits in society. Lilith in ninth makes them feel different because it does not agree with society about some or many things. Also, take into consideration the sign in which Lilith is in. Because of the suffering and hardships they may endure, they will even try to fit in and conform despite Lilith's position, and they will try to hide and or suppress their opinions and thoughts, or the other case scenario would be that they would flaunt their opinions even more, but at their core, they would still be insecure and will not accept themselves fully despite the flaunting. Healing this should start by them figuring out why they think the way they do and how it is different from most. Generalized society opinions, accept themselves, and the way that they think are also trust that there is a good reason, cause, purpose, mission, perhaps, that has led them to think uniquely and differently. Lilith and Capricorn. Lilith in Capricorn has felt ashamed or otherwise wrong for their desire to excel, succeed, or reach for worldly goals and ambitions, and they may feel uncomfortable around people who seem materialistic, status conscious, or particularly business minded and practical or ambitious. It can be hard to connect with their own ambition and need for others' esteem, but going there and allowing yourself to feel these needs can be life changing. On the other hand, if they feel uncomfortable with these things, they can go to extremes in these areas and then feel badly afterwards. The path to empowerment is self acceptance and moderation. This can also apply to Lilith in the 10th house. Lilith and Capricorn can be very traditional and stubborn in their ideas surrounding romance, which can come off as cold or detached to some. And while they're not willing to settle on your standards, and you shouldn't, it might benefit you to open up your worldview from time to time. Feeling Lilith in Capricorn. Why do you feel the need to achieve so much? What void are you trying to fill with material achievements? Healing the inner teen. When did you begin to feel like your worth was and what you could achieve? Lilith in the 10th house. The 10th house covers public image, among other things. The public persona carries the effect of Lilith and is something they might feel they need to hide and or control better. They probably want to be accepted and welcomed by the public, and that would be suppressing Lilith's influence to some. The sign Lilith is in, accompanied by the influence of the house, will probably make others uncomfortable, which would probably not feel good for the image that they at that very moment, but That is just the eccentric and magnetic influence of Lilith. For some individuals, this placement can make a bit hard to settle on a career path that will be satisfying. The other case scenario would be that the other would stay at a job for such a long time, even though it does not make them happy at all, and they will suppress Lilith, while others might hop from job to job searching for something that feels right. When these individuals release the suppression of Lilith, that's when they will find peace career wise and with the struggles of their public image. They should honor themselves and their path instead of longing for some kind of popularity, instead of playing some societal rules, but instead of playing by some societal rules that only make you more miserable and unhappy. To heal and start somewhere is to recognize the reaction of others are based on them and their experience, not on you, your flaws, your purpose, or your way of being. You're perfectly fine. We oftentimes project and channel our inner rage, confusion, loathing onto others who are different and unique and do things differently from us, who are different from us while we are stuck in the system accordingly. To heal is to commit to yourself just the way you are, your authentic self, get to know yourself, learn more about yourself and your depth, and work on how to improve, heal, better yourself, and fuck that public image. It will never be perfect. Lilith and Aquarius. Lilith and Aquarius has felt ashamed or off for wanting to be part of a group, team, or community, for being one of the crowd, and can feel quite wary of people or who seem to need these things. The answer is not to reject these basic needs, since this can result in binging and purging on a social level, going all out, feeling bad about it, hiding away, and then repeating the cycle again. Healing in Healing Lilith and Aquarius self-acceptance can help empower them and put an end to extremes of behaviors in these areas. This can also apply to Lilith in the 11th house. Healing the inner teen. When were you first made to feel like you didn't belong or didn't fit into a community, either family or friends? How has your relationships with groups or community been affected by you feeling like you don't belong? Lilith in the 11th house. With Lilith in the 11th, there may be a rejection felt from groups, especially early on in age. These individuals constantly have that feeling that just tells them that they do not belong and fit in anywhere, whether that's in society as a whole or a small friend group. They just have a deep need for acceptance and might feel shame and guilt for not being able to get it and fit it. They might differ from desperately wanting to, trying to fit in, or just totally giving up and starting a path of aloneness. A thing to work on is acceptance, but acceptance from yourself, realizing that you have been gifted such unique traits and a special personality that makes you stand out. Figuring yourself out and your differences, acceptance, and then naturally you would be inclined to offer your gifts to the world willingly. In the beginning, these individuals are naturally drawn to groups who will not accept them, but working and healing on themselves will also naturally draw them to groups of people who will be accepting and perhaps even like-minded as them. Lilith and Pisces. Lilith and Pisces is felt ashamed or off for being needy, compassionate, or wishy-washy for their spiritual side. And this person can feel uncomfortable or annoyed with people who resist labels, who are very assertive or ready to take the lead. Rejecting or feeling ashamed of their basic needs in these areas can lead to extremes of behaviors and repeated cycles of binging and purging with these traits. The key to moderation and empowerment is self-acceptance. This can also apply to Lilith in the 12th house. Escapism is quite common issue with Black Moon, Lilith, and Pisces. Addictions are typical coping mechanisms, no matter if it is alcohol, drugs, sex, or maladaptive daydreaming. The positive side of Lilith and Pisces is enhanced sensitivity, creativity, and a vivid imagination. However, if they overdo these, it can cause many troubles. Dubious plans and questionable philosophies are all something you have to watch out for if you have this placement in your natal chart. People with displacements tend to be rather introspective. They are often fascinated by psychology, mythology, and archetypes. They want to understand themselves and other people on a very deep level. As they grow older and integrate this placement properly, Black Lilith Moon and Pisces, people can become very wise. Healing Lilith and Pisces, find healthy coping mechanisms, meditation, going outside, and journaling. Healing inner teen. When did you begin using escapism as a form of coping? Lilith in the 12th house. 12th house is all about hidden everything, which means hidden Lilith, or to be more exact, the effect is hidden. Shadowed, which makes the individual subconscious to it or totally oblivious. The other way would be that those around them won't notice their Lilith influence at all. As I've mentioned above in the other house placements, the signs has a major influence too. For example, Lilith in X sign that draws attention somehow, but is in the 12th house will result in feeling all of that, but not wanting or just not acting on it. It's hidden from themselves and the people around them. There could also be some type of blockage that restricts tapping into Lilith power for these individuals, a lack of knowledge, a lack of drive, motive, etc. Sex could also be a big subject here. The individual is so subconsciously trapped within self that they cannot understand sexual activity, let alone enjoy it. After one has healed Lilith and accepted it, it can enjoy and delve into sex. Lilith in the 12th can be very wild and reckless because she's the most suppressed here and also hidden. Some of these individuals might have been bullied a lot also. Lilith in the 12th healing can go as far as past lives instead of just childhood trauma, wounds, toxicity. The karma and healing can spread as far as past lives, can make the healing process even harder for this placement. Escapism is also likely with the 12th house, so indulging in activities, substances, behaviors, patterns, which are of that nature can also mean the person is running from their deepest instinct self, and others may decide to start healing that way. Connecting the physical body and mind is one key to healing. Our bodies are vessels and they are our messengers. They can let us know that when something is wrong, chills, a bad feeling in your stomach, every inch of your body saying no, sleepiness, dizziness, etc. Once something is up, you can dig deeper, especially if it's anxiety. Discover Lilith. Discover what shames you, what guilts you, to realize this connection. Can also be helped by spending time in nature. Grounding can be a wonderful way to start healing. And that is all. Any questions or comments?
So is Lilith in your like birth house? Is that where everyone's at? Their sun house?
She
No,
is for me.
My Lilith is in my 4th house.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is in my 4th house, which is my sun house. Right? My transitioning chart.
It's in your Cancer house?